Well, hello there, motherfuckers. And tonight's Raw, well, you had Stone Cold, The Undertaker, Ric Flair, and Shawn Michaels. And how could this episode of Raw possibly suck? I don't know, but somehow they fucking managed to pull it off, motherfuckers. I don't know how the fuck they do it, but somehow, some way, they managed to make this a boring Raw while having those people there. Stone Cold comes out and he talks a little bit about being in Texas, how it's good to be back. Hasn't been there in 4 years. Hasn't been there since he was there to promote Tough Enough in 2011. And remember when he had that face to face with Punk? That was the last time we saw him there. Stone Cold then introduces The Undertaker, and that's it. You know, they couldn't have used Stone Cold in a better way. You know, the thing is, even if they're not going to tease a match with Stone Cold, I mean, even if they're not going to have a match with Stone Cold, they could at least tease it to excite us at least. Remember Stone Cold and Punk? We knew that wasn't going to happen. But still, anyway, we got excited when we saw them face to face. At least, let us have some dream matches. At least let us, imagine that the show could actually be awesome again by thinking that matches like that are possible. Stone Cold was there for all of like 3 minutes. And I thought he was going to like interview The Undertaker, which would have been cool. But instead, Undertaker came out and he cut a promo. Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar came out. Heyman talked a little bit. And then Brock got up on the apron when The Undertaker told him to, get in the ring. He looked like he was about to get in the ring and we were going to get a nice little brawl before the pay-per-view. But then, Heyman said that he's playing into his mind games, and Brock Lesnar then just gets off the apron, they leave. And Heyman says, now you're playing mind games. How is playing mind games running away like a little bitch? How is, do they understand what mind games means? The fact that it's a psychological technique to play with somebody's head. Backing down from a fight doesn't constitute as mind games in my book. Mind games was what Undertaker was doing to Randy Orton, where he was like, remember when he like made Orton and then Bob Orton inside the casket, like their images, that was mind games. Not like backing down. That's not fucking mind games. That's just bad writing, is all it is. And we're just calling it mind games. Oh, it's mind games because they don't know how to book this shit. So now we're just going to write it off as mind games as an excuse of why we're not getting, good action on the show. It was good to see Stone Cold. It gets points for Stone Cold being there and Undertaker being there. But, nothing happened. Nothing really exciting occurred. I know people are going to be upset with me. They're going to be like, your favorite wrestler, Brad, Stone Cold was there. Yeah, I know he's my favorite wrestler, but it doesn't matter how great he is if he didn't do anything on the show that was significant. Think about it. This show didn't need to have Stone Cold on there. It didn't even have to have Undertaker. It really did nothing to promote the Undertaker Brock match. It didn't do anything for me. I'm still looking forward to the match, but I would have anyway without this. It's build up. The fact of build up is, yes, interaction between two stars, but you have to do it in an interesting way where it's going to, uh, make people interested, for God fucking sakes. There's no other way of saying it. To get people interested in the match, you have to do interesting things to promote it. It's not enough just having Stone Cold come out there and introduce The Undertaker. The fucking ring announcer could have done that fucking shit. That doesn't really help promote shit. They could have had Stone Cold come out there and talk up the Hell in a Cell a little bit more. Talked up either guy. He could have talked to The Undertaker a little bit. They could have had some interaction. Stone Cold didn't interact with anybody except the crowd. He's on the show and he's not interacting with the other wrestlers. So there's, like I said, no fucking point to him being there. It's very disappointing. Then we had our first match. It was New Day defeating Cena and the Dudleys. Deja vu. You know, somebody said in my comment section like last week that I don't talk about this enough, about how they had the same matches week after week. And I'm pretty sure I fucking do that. I mean, I made like a 50-minute vid last week, for God fucking sakes. I don't think we're going to have a video that long this week. But the thing is, I pretty sure I talked extensively about Orton and Sheamus. So, I'm just like getting the vibe that people like to complain no matter what on this channel. They complain about me complaining about wrestling. So technically that is you complaining. So, but anyway, if I need to talk about the matches that are happening every single week, here's another one. Match was pretty decent. You had New Day winning, I guess, which is pretty good. The Dudleys power bombed Xavier Woods through the table again. Here's the thing. We've already seen this like fucking 15 times already since they've had this feud. Could they at least powerbomb somebody different through the table? Xavier Woods, I know he's the loudmouth, and everybody wants to see him get put through the table, and he's the guy who made the pin in the match. So this is them getting their heat back. But once again, this is all the problems that I always have. It's fucking monotonous already. It's the same shit week after week. And, they can't just have the heels have their heat and leave the arena. They always have to have the faces or somebody else, whoever they're facing. They always got to get their fucking heat back the same way. I mean, it's like, can't they just have their win? And plus, we already fucking saw this. How many more times are we going to see Xavier Woods put through the fucking table? We're going to see it every single fucking week, for God's sakes. Come up with something new. Like I said, put Big E through the table. Put Kofi through the table. At least do something fucking different. We've been seeing the same fucking thing for like a fucking month already. Do something different. We already saw this spot like 3-4 times. It's great the Dudleys are back and all that, but shit, there's more to them than just the fucking powerbomb spot at the end of the match, for God fucking sakes. Then you had Team Bella. It was Nikki and Alicia Fox defeating Team Bad, Sasha Banks and Naomi. The thing is with this, it's like, who gives a fuck right here? There's Nikki Bella. And she's not even interacting with Charlotte in any way. There's no fucking interaction at all during this match. Why is this match even occurring? If it's going to happen, you could have different people wrestle before the pay-per-view. They do it all the time. But Charlotte could at least, come out on the stage and play mind games with Nikki or shit like that. You want to play mind games? Well, do that shit, distract her or something. But no, instead it's just Nikki picking up the simple win. The fuck? Where's the interaction? At least have Charlotte do commentary or something during the match. Where's the fucking promotion for Hell in a Cell? I'm not seeing it. What the fuck are they doing? They're having just a fucking bland match. No one cares about it. Everybody's still chanting, we want Sasha. That's the thing. They don't want these other fucking Mamalukes. If the whole crowd is chanting they want a specific wrestler, that also means that the other three don't mean shit. That's pretty much what they're saying right there. Then you had a segment that I actually really enjoyed. Shawn Michaels came out and he was also talking about the Hell in the Cell, which, this is the thing. They should have taken care of this during the first segment. This is the promotion they should have had Stone Cold doing. Shawn Michaels was talking about the Hell in a Cell matches, also the one with He was saying, I think he mentioned the Roman Reigns Bray Wyatt one. I don't remember, but he was talking about Brock and Taker. And then you had Seth Rollins came out and he said that Shawn Michaels was supposed to introduce him. And the thing was, this is like an example of like how they should have handled the Stone Cold thing. Shawn Michaels interacting with another wrestler. Him standing in the ring does a lot for does a lot for Seth Rollins' career here. Stone Cold wasn't standing in the ring with anybody. If they had a guy like Neville standing in the ring with Stone Cold, or somebody standing in the ring with Stone Cold, it would have meant the whole fucking lot. It really would have. Instead, no, they're not going to do that. They're not going to have Cesaro and Stone Cold, or if they want to get a wrestler over, just put him in the ring with a huge fucking star. And for some reason, they felt like doing that with Shawn Michaels and Seth Rollins. And this was a great segment. They went back and forth, and I found it genuinely entertaining. This is what we should be seeing more of. If they're going to use legends, don't use them in a fucking cheap 3-minute segment. We barely get to see legends as it is. Instead, it's always like fucking cheap ass shit. It's Ric Flair standing in the ring with Charlotte just wooing and saying some very generic shit to promote her. This is like how you go about it. Shawn Michaels had a really good line where he says, during his career, he never dreamt of being the second coming of anything because he was just worried about being the first ever Shawn Michaels. This was in response to Rollins saying that he was the second coming of Michaels. And I thought it was a good line, and I thought this whole entire segment was pretty fucking good. Um, Shawn Michaels then said he had a match against Ryback. Rollins tried to say hit my music, but Shawn Michaels says no one cares about him. You have to hit my music. And then they played Michaels' music. So it was a little bit funny. Shawn Michaels was being his normal, cheeky, sarcastic self, which was pretty entertaining segment. Probably the only entertaining segment on the fucking show. But I'd like to see more of this. They should have been doing this fucking years ago, having Michaels putting people over, in the ring with promos and stuff. Michaels is very good with promos and segments. So, why not utilize the guy, instead of having cheap panels in the ring and shit like that, they should have been doing this. It's not that hard to figure out. If I could think of it and they actually did it here, why is this not like a normal practice that they can't do more normally? I'm kind of lost when it comes to this. I don't know how their brains work when McMahon is, pushing the writers around, telling them what to do. Doesn't he think, you heard McMahon complaining about how no one's getting over like the old days. Well, maybe they could use the guys from the old days to put over the new guys. I've been saying this for fucking years. For God fucking sakes. Not just me, but countless other people have said it here on YouTube. I know it's not just me. They've been saying, use those guys to get them over. A while back they were talking about Ric Flair managing Dolph Ziggler. It would have been the perfect pairing. But instead, no. They're not going to do that. They had Ric Flair, with the fucking Miz. They fucked everything up and just made it fucking stupid. And that's what they continue to do here. Then you had Rollins defeating Ryback. It was a good short match, but if Ryback has a match right before the fucking pay-per-view, why is he losing? And the thing is, I know the world champion won a match, but why are they booking this? Why book the Intercontinental Champion to look weak right before a match with Kevin Owens? The fuck are they fucking thinking? Wrestling is all about momentum and maintaining the images of your fucking talent. They're not concerned about that. I know it's a fake show and win-loss records don't really mean anything. But in the sense of the show, it kind of fucking does. If we see a wrestler always losing, we're not going to have any respect for that guy. Their whole mission was to try to get Ryback to seem somewhat important. And, you know, after losing to Cena 1,000 times and, you know, being involved with Curtis Axel and meaningless tag teams, you know, they finally gave Ryback a title after fucking 3 years. And you thought that they'd like move on to something, you know, with him. And instead, you know, he's still like losing. He still looks like a fucking joke. You know, happy that Rollins won, which is also fucking, you know, a rare occurrence for a world champion. But, you know, they can't just build one guy up and destroy another. Not that I give a fuck about Ryback. I don't like him. But if they, like I said, if they're going to book a match, if they're going to invest time in a wrestler, then fucking invest time in him. Stop fucking him up. For God fucking sakes. I mean, come on already. What are they fucking doing? Having guys lose, you know, they're all over the place on this fucking show. Not booking anything, Stone Cold being there for no reason, repeating spots night after night. Get it together, for God fucking sakes. Then you had Sheamus, Barrett, and Rusev defeating Ziggler, Neville, and Cesaro. What are even the fucking matches on this fucking pay-per-view? Are anybody in this match, are they involved in a fucking match on the pay-per-view? You know, no matches were promoted. No, nothing. Are they going to have Rusev and Ziggler again? If they are, then, you know, there's no real fucking point to even doing that. You know, they had that feud with Rusev and Ziggler, and then, you know, it got fucked up because Rusev, you know, got engaged to Lana. And, you know, and it just looked even more retarded that the storyline had to be dropped when it shouldn't have even taken place in the first place. I mean, here's the thing. So you had a guy like Rusev that was winning, you know, constantly. The guy had not been pinned. He faces Cena a couple of times, loses all the matches. Then he gets involved in a fucking love storyline, A guy like Rusev in a fucking romantic love storyline. What the fuck is this bullshit? Like I said, I don't care for Rusev as a talent, but obviously his image is that of a tough guy. So why would you put him into a fucking, you know, feud like this, a fucking soap opera style feud? I mean, what the fuck is their fucking problem? Are they fucking smoking fucking crack up their fucking ass? For God fucking sakes! I mean, why would you book a wrestler like this? You know, if they're trying to maintain a tough guy image for Rusev, you know, if they're trying to branch out his character, then don't do that. You can't branch out a fucking character like Rusev. His whole fucking, you know, gimmick is that he's a strong, tough guy, you know, a power lifter, you know, that he's like a no frills kind of guy. You can't, you know, give him a fucking character like this. This is not the right thing to do. This is like if all of a sudden, you know, Stone Cold came out and started doing the fucking Macarena because it was in style at the time. You know, you can't just fucking take a guy's character and change it. You know, can you imagine Stone Cold coming out to the ring with the Macarena? Shing, duck, 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 duck. Yo, come on! Let's get this shit together with this fucking company. This company looks like all they do is fucking smoke crack all day, for God fucking sakes. It's one thing after another. You know, anyway, this match was pretty fucking boring. It heated up at the end. A nice dive from Neville. But at the end of the day, who gives a fucking shit? Then you had a weird segment with Flair saying that, you know, Roman Reigns is his guy. You know, go ahead, Flair, drop to your knees and, you know, suck Roman Reigns' dick. I mean, you know, this is basically what they have Flair do every single time, whether it's Cena or whoever else, you know, Cena or The Miz. You know, oh, they're my favorite guy. Woo! You know, this is the 16-time legend. You know, how much respect do they have for Flair? You know, they treat him as just a show machine. He's not even there, really. He doesn't even fucking promote shit. What did that appearance do for Reigns? You know, once again, they did the same thing they did with Stone Cold. Stone Cold comes out there. promotes the match slightly, or promotes the guy, and then walks out of there. That's it. And he says his catchphrase. That's the bottom line, and walks out. Then you have Ric Flair here. He just basically says Roman Reigns' name, says that that's his guy, and then he just goes woo and walks out. How productive. They advertise this show that legends are going to be on this show. And, they make like the legends are going to be like the majority of the show. And most of them are involved in cheap segments. Only fucking Michaels had a segment that meant anything. That's the fucking thing about it. So Flair introduces Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, is in the ring, and the Wyatts come out, and then he like takes a chair, sits down, and then puts another chair in the ring and tells Bray Wyatt to sit down as well. And this was just a fucking weird segment. Two guys sitting in chairs in the middle of the ring. Why are we sitting down so we could stand up? I mean, what is this weirdo shit? They're trying everything in the fucking book to try to get Reigns to look tough and interesting. Taking two chairs and putting in the ring. I mean, look at this. I can sit down. Oh, look, I'm a tough guy because I'm fucking sitting. For God's fucking sakes! He's just sitting down. That doesn't make him tough. I can imagine the meeting. Oh, hey, yeah, you know what? I know how we can make Roman Reigns look tougher. Oh, yeah, Bobby? How? Let's have him sit down in the ring with Wyatt. I don't like it. Fuck! I mean, what the hell are they fucking smoking, for God's sakes? Like I said, who could come up with this shit? Making Roman Reigns look tougher by sitting down and trying to slowly talk to Bray Wyatt? Oh, yeah. Bray Wyatt's out there with Eric Rowan, who they barely acknowledge. Michael Cole goes, hey, who's that? And then when the sheet mask gets knocked off, and they're like, oh, it's Eric Rowan. Eric Rowan hasn't been there in like 3 months. Can we at least address him or seem shocked that he's there? Oh, it's Eric Rowan. Gee, I wonder why nobody gets over, or the crowd doesn't really fucking give a shit about half these people, and ratings are dropping. I know Eric Rowan's never going to be a big, massive star, but this is just a fucking example. I mean, why are there even commentators on this show? It could be dead air because they do fucking nothing to promote the fucking show. Eric Rowan just returned. And he's not even, what the fuck? I mean, are you fucking kidding me? I mean, holy fucking shit. So, then we get the match. It's going to be Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns tag teaming. So, here's a little story on this. Because if it's so fucking confusing, this is how the night started off. We get word that Orton has been injured, which I don't know where the fuck this came from. Is he really injured? The match was going to be this. It was basically going to be Dean Ambrose facing off against Luke Harper and Braun Strowman in a handicap match because Orton couldn't make it there. So then they change it. And first of all, that match was supposed to take place on the pay-per-view, but it's happening on Raw instead. That now that Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns were in the ring together, and Ambrose helped Reigns fight off the Wyatts, now it's Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose against Harper and Strowman. Then Seth Rollins gets involved backstage, and they decide out of nowhere to do a Shield reunion. And I don't even think throughout this whole fucking show they even said the word Shield, which was a little bit fucking weird. At least I didn't even fucking catch it, or I just fucking tuned them out. But I didn't hear them even say Shield. So then they get the match, and Seth Rollins is backstage again with Shawn Michaels, and he coaxes Seth Rollins into getting involved in the match, and now we have a 6-man tag match. So they just fucking rebooked this match 4 times in one fucking show. Where is Orton? And also, where the fuck is Kane? They said Kane was suspended for some reason because of what he did last week. The pay-per-view is on Sunday. So Seth Rollins is not going to even interact with the person that he's going to have a match with at the pay-per-view. What the fuck? What the... Why? I mean, not that I like this storyline, but they're not going to even bother to promote this match, the Raw, right before the pay-per-view. They're going to promote it on SmackDown, which no one even fucking watches. I mean, does this company even care anymore? For God fucking sakes. Does this company even fucking give a shit anymore about promoting anything? Do they give a shit anymore about doing anything good? I mean, you've got Stone Cold. You could do the world with him. The guy is open to doing anything for this company. He loves this company. He wants to help it grow. You barely do anything with him. You've got Ric Flair. Ric Flair, he could manage people. He could have, again, he could interview people in the ring. He could make them a star like that. And they choose not to do that. And here they are. They kayfabe suspend somebody right before the fucking pay-per-view. And I'm like, okay, so they suspended Corporate Kane, so they're going to just have Demon Kane come out? That doesn't happen. All right, I guess so Kane doesn't have to beat Seth Rollins right before the pay-per-view. That's a good thing, but no promotion before the match. You know how fucking cheap that looks? Then it was Charlotte defeating Brie Bella, and I want to talk about this for a minute. This is why the Divas division sucks. The fucking Divas Revolution. Look at this match. How bland and boring it is. The majority of the match was Charlotte hitting clotheslines and shoulder blocks. It's like, this is, none of this shit is going to get over with the crowd. No one gives a fuck that Charlotte is the Divas champ. They brought her to the main roster, gave her the Divas title, and still, this Divas division is not over. It's not over with the crowd. It's not over with anybody. And the thing is, what Michael Cole said is true. The Divas division didn't have a revolution according to the Bellas. The Bellas, just fucking, maybe got huger out of it. That's about it. I mean, yeah, there is no fucking Divas revolution. All they did was introduce 3 new wrestlers, and that was it. Nothing else fucking happened. Everybody got put into teams, and that was about it. That was your Divas revolution. That's how they were going to turn the Divas division upside down, by just fucking adding 3 new wrestlers and making teams. Oh, bravo. What a fucking revolution it was. And once again, no interaction between Charlotte and Nikki. Just, I think they jabbered a little bit, with Nikki at ringside. And that's your promotion for the match. No promos, no, match, no tag matches with them getting their hands on each other. Nope. Nothing like that. We didn't get to see that. What the fuck? The fuck is going on here? I mean, are they even, concerned about anything they book? They'll just book anything and then just fucking, shit on it just like that. Who the fuck cares? That's what they're saying to themselves. Who cares? We'll book a match and that's it. They don't have to fucking promote it. I mean, do they fucking care? For God's sakes, care, you motherfuckers. Care. Do something. Put some effort into the fucking show. Then you had Kevin Owens defeating Mark Henry. And once again, that was pretty cool. The power bomb on Mark Henry. Mark Henry is out there every week just fucking losing. And what is the point? Like, you know, you could have so much other enhancement talent back there, but you're using Mark Henry, a guy that you put a lot of stock in a couple of years ago, a guy that you gave the world title to, and now you're going to make him a jobber. Okay. Ryback comes out after that. You know, Owens tries to escape, but Mark Henry throws him back in, and Owens gets power bombed. Okay, so there's a little bit of promotion for one of the matches. Then we got our main event, and it's the Shield reunion, which I don't even think Michael Cole mentioned was the Shield reunion versus the Wyatts. And Luke Harper is unexplainably not there. They're saying that it has something to do with Orton. You know, what the fuck is Luke Harper like raping Orton somewhere in like a tool shed somewhere you know, down south? I don't fucking know. I mean, for God's sakes. What the fuck is going on? You know, there's a Shield reunion. There's like shit all over the fucking place. Does anything have any meaning, rhyme, or reason or purpose on this fucking show? You know, is Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns even wrestling? Like, is Dean Ambrose even wrestling on the fucking pay-per-view? You know, what the fuck is happening? They didn't even address that. Are they going to do anything on this fucking show? At Hell in the Cell? What are even the matches, for God fucking sakes? When I do my predictions vid, I got to go on WWE.com because I only know like 3 matches. I don't even know what the fuck is going on the rest of the show because they haven't told me. How the fuck am I supposed to know what's going on in this show if they don't tell me? Dean Ambrose hits Braun Strowman with the kendo stick. Fans are chanting, "This is awesome." These fans could fucking kiss my fucking ass. The fucking group of fans at every single show chanting, "This is awesome," encouraging boring, bland, cliche programming like this. Go fuck your fucking selves. Fucking Seth Rollins walked out during the match. Big surprise, very predictable. You know, if you're going to have a Shield reunion, at least make it mean something. At least have it promote something on the next pay-per-view. Instead, it's just totally mindless. It just happened. They decided to book it, and that's what it was. You know, just basically anything, you know, that they feel like doing one week to another. There's like no fucking consistency at all. You know, and why is Rollins even in there? What purpose does he have even with any of the Wyatts? Why would he even want to get involved in this? What, you know, why would Shawn Michaels even coax Seth Rollins into getting into a match like this? What is the fucking reason to any of this fucking shit? And their biggest star, John Cena, they just announced his match. After 5 weeks of fucking build up for this pay-per-view, 4 or 5 weeks of build up, the best they could do is a John Cena Open Challenge. Their biggest star, and they're not going to even promote a match for him. You know, I don't know. I hear he's taking November off, Cena, so I guess are they going to just have him fucking, you know, drop the belt to somebody? I don't fucking know. I don't know what the fuck is going to happen on this goddamn pay-per-view. You know, I guess you could say in some ways that makes it predictable. I mean, that makes it unpredictable. But, you know, the thing is, it's like because I don't even know the matches because they didn't promote it properly. You know, there's a difference between being unpredictable and unprepared. And they are goddamn fucking unprepared for this pay-per-view. They didn't. Let's go down the fucking list. You know, fucking Brock Lesnar and Taker, a big Titanic match like this. They don't do anything. They just have Brock get up on the apron and then step down. How many times has he done that? Then the Dudleys and New Day, they put Xavier Woods through a table for a month straight. That's how you promote that match. What a great way to promote it. The Divas title match, no interaction. Charlotte off the microphone yells at Nikki a little bit from ringside. Kane's not even there to promote Rollins' match. You know, we don't even know what's going on with the Wyatts, and all we know with the Wyatts is that it's going to be Bray and Roman Reigns in Hell in the Cell. The Dean Ambrose and Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, and Strowman. We don't even know if there's going to be a match, who's going to be involved, or anything like that. What a fucking mess! As I said time and time again in this video alone, get your fucking shit together, WWE. Get your shit together, Vince. All the fucking writers. For God's sakes, you got a mess of a fucking pay-per-view coming out, which, you're fucking confusing the shit out of us. We're going to have a Wyatt match. We're going to have a handicap match. We're going to have a 6-man tag match. You know what you're going to have? A big fucking middle finger in your fucking face, motherfucker! Because this fucking pay-per-view is looking like fucking shit. So, I'm looking forward to Brock and Taker. But, you don't even have any confidence to promote your fucking Kane and Rollins match. Instead, you're taking the cheat method out by having him get suspended. What the fuck? Why? Maybe in real life you had fucking Kane, not being able to attend for some reason. That I could understand. But I doubt that. It's right before the pay-per-view. What are the odds of that happening? Anyway, this was a shit-ass fucking Raw. I don't care that there was one segment that I enjoyed with Michaels. That was pretty fucking cool. But, Stone Cold's appearance was super fucking disappointing. Thanks for that, Stone Cold. See you in another 4 years for another meaningless segment. For God's sakes, I said his last appearance in 2011 to promote Tough Enough had a lot more meaning. Why can't it have more meaning? Last time he had to work with The Miz and Alex Riley. Now he could have been in the ring with Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker, for God's sakes. And they didn't even take advantage of that situation. You could have had Stone Cold and Brock Lesnar in the ring together. And they didn't do that. What the fuck is their fucking problem? What a shit ass fucking show.